What's going on, guys? I'm back at you. This video is going to be mainly about the stock market and a lot of these smaller, more momentum style plays that we want to consider potentially getting into here. So while they're cheap, right? So, this one I'm a little more fearful of here. I'm opening it up anyway. But, this is ACB. So, my speculation idea so far is working out, but I don't believe it's just quite over yet, but we'll have to see. So I had a support line, and I was posting on TradingView a while back that if it broke this 833, I was going to be a lot more concerned. And we did break it, and we came as low as this 751. So I talked about it in my TradingView later once we broke this, that the next speculative thing that I was looking for was somewhere between this wick of 751 and 715. And if we broke that, then we would cancel out my idea. But my next idea, looking at the daily, is that this is a left shoulder, this is a head, and this is potentially a right shoulder, inverse head and shoulders, with a neckline either up in this 1460 area or as high as this $20 range. But of course, we wouldn't want to really wait for all the way up here to enter. Another thought would be this is a big cup and this is a handle here, which any lower than where we are now, it wouldn't work. But usually it's either an inverse head and shoulders or a cup and handle. I mean, usually you can see either one. I'm about to sneeze right pretty soon, so when I do, don't worry about that. It's like right there, you know what I mean? It's hard to get rid of that. Okay, so where we are right now on ACB, I have this support line that I wanted to hold, which was a back test here of a wick, but not just off of that wick. Also, all of these wicks here that we managed to not close any candle bodies below, and then we blasted off. And then this here, where we didn't really wick to, but we just broke right through it. So, and, obviously, in the past, I had made some videos talking about this. We played this thing from, I think I was starting to get bullish on it right around here, talking about this thing is going to have a huge move. It was turning around. I was a little bit soon because we did come down, and I did talk about this $4 level as well, being an area in the past that it likes to bounce off of. And if we went way back in the trend, we would see that this $4 level, not there, but if we looked on the weekly, over here, we had some 352 to $2 level that we've bounced off and blasted off from in the past. So that's how I was getting these areas here. So, I was in this trend right around here starting to buy, unfortunately, just getting into TA, not really understanding how bad of the downtrend this was. So I started buying around this $8 level, started getting really bullish around this $4 or $5 level, and then finally we hit this level and I loaded up as much as I could. We had this huge spike not too long after. I was seeing bullish divergence formed in the weekly and in the daily. See how we're way low on the left, higher on the right here, higher on the left, way lower on the right. So to me, that was showing me this could turn into a big W. And if you wanted to see that video, I have it all on proof if nobody believes me that I was calling for that. And then I ended up selling my position up here. Actually, I think I sold, half of it here, which I didn't have this trend line in here at the time. I was selling off of some fib levels that I ran from this low to a swing high here. So I sold all of the fib levels. I sold some at 10.50, I sold some at 11.50, and then I sold some, up in the 13.86 or something like that. And then it fell back down, and then it came all the way back down to about 6.80. And then I started hearing people getting very bullish on it, and it kind of worried me a little bit because usually when people start getting bullish on things, sometimes it ends up being a downwards thing. But in reality, here we go. So I did end up buying some of these dips here, and I was making videos along the way, or at least on TradingView, where I was buying, and I was like, we're picking it up at 8.30, we're picking it up at, $10 or $11, and so on and so forth. Not right here, but right here, we were picking it up here. I think I was buying at 10.50, I was buying at 11.32, and I was buying at 12.40. And then I said we're going to have a targeted move of 19.35. So I had my sell order up here, and I sold my position up here. So I made a shit ton of money here, I think like $4,000 up here, and then I didn't buy here, and then I bought more here and here, and then made another like grand or two here on this run. Sold my position at like 19 or 19.20, and it hit after hours 21. It's not showing on the chart. And thankfully, I got rid of it, because this is what has happened since. So if we look at the weekly here, you can see that this 20 EMA is rolling over, which could cause a death cross that could bring me down to my targeted move of $5. So with that being said, I'm a little bit more concerned about this. But for now, it does look like this could be rounding over. So it's possible that we don't have a downside move, but be very cautious with that weekly. And also this 50 EMA could come down and cross. As long as this 20 EMA curls up, though, we could get a nice bullish cross across all of these moving averages, which would ultimately send us a lot higher with the potential of some resistance up at this 1235 and a few areas on the way. So this is one just to keep on the radar here, because I wouldn't say load the boat here, expect that this is an inverse head and shoulders. We don't know for sure, because technically this is a right shoulder, this was a head, and this is potentially the right shoulder, or here was the left shoulder, this was the head, and this was the right shoulder. But ultimately, whatever way it is, we either had a neckline right here at 959, or we have a neckline here at 833. So I'm not too sure how that's playing out or how it played out. But usually you could take a head and shoulders move from the head to the shoulder. Well, technically you come all the way up here, and then you put it from the breakdown of the neckline, and it would come all the way down, which that doesn't make any sense. So I might, usually in, when I'm doing trading in crypto, you do a neckline, but I don't know if this would be considered the head. Like that. Let's see if we hit any type of targets or not. And this isn't only a video on ACB. I'm going to try to fit in a lot, so it is going to be a long video. But let's see. I mean, it's really, I have to work on that and figure out how to really measure a head and shoulders pattern here. I'm not, if anyone has any tips, feel free to leave it in the comments, because I'm not sure if you would just do it from like, the wicks. Usually I thought you'd go from the wicks to the overall head, but I don't know if you'd go maybe from the neckline to the head and then a measured move. I have to look into that, so I can't really comment on my downward target. But I did actually have a target of $5, but if I'm wrong on my measurements, then obviously this could be the target here, so that's something to definitely keep in mind. But, really we need to find support on this 833 again, maybe flag out here for a day or two and make sure that we're confirming it as support. Or if we take a nice run up here and then we come down and back test this level, hold it as support, then we are good to jet. So that's something to keep in mind. We could do something like that, and then we would run. So it doesn't mean rush right in if you see it up at $10. Oh my God, I'm going to miss out, unless you look back at this chart here and see that we already had confirmed the back test, and then you could know, all right, this thing could be turning around. Maybe I'll get in another position if we confirm support somewhere else, which could be ultimately up at this 960 level here. But we'll have to see, because it could also roll over here, and we don't want to see that happen, because we are making lower lows and lower highs, which is a downtrend. So that's taken care of. So that's not my favorite one here, but that's something. One that I got into a long time ago that I was playing, this one's a little more scary as well, but I feel that we may have found a bottom here. So I have been picking at this thing, and I think that we can say it might be safe to start buying a few down low while it's doing what it's doing, but we have to play some breakouts here. There it is, sorry. Fix. Holy crap. So when we played this thing, we were up in this consolidation here, this ascending triangle. And we had a break of the ascending triangle. We tapped our resistance, and then we just huge blow off top. And when you look at this whole trend, you might say, why the are you trying to buy that thing, right? But in my eyes, we're seeing this massive consolidation. This is a biotech company working with working with like gene editing, and I really believe strongly that gene editing stuff is going to be the future, and it's going to be something that's going to cure cancer, it's going to cure blindness, it's going to cure all these crazy things that we can't do right now with medicine. So if we look here, we can see that we always like to resort to this mean trend line, which is this blue line here. So I haven't moved any of this since I've had it brought in here. I was looking for some 22.43 target. I was playing this. I did enter some at 12.08 or 12.05. I made a video on that. I bought more at 12.60. I had all these trend lines here. I bought more at 13.30. We ran up. We tapped this trend line here. We consolidated, but underneath it, we couldn't catch any support here on top of this trend line. And then I was looking to buy some more here. I did buy more here, and then I got stopped out here. So I did lose a good amount of money off of this, even though I made some good money on this run here. But exactly why you don't play consolidations is for this reason right here. This looked like a nice consolidation pattern on top of this, which to me was like a breakout, a back test, and a go. Unfortunately, this was right when the stock market started to really take a toll on some of these smaller plays, and this was probably the first thing that dumped before anything else started dumping, so it was almost like a warning sign, holy crap, for the rest of the market. Which is right around when I started making videos. I'm fearful of the stock market and certain things right now, and the NASDAQ started dumping shortly after, and many other plays, NNDM, all these other ones started dumping as well. So this was like the first one to really take a hit. Well, where did we end up bouncing? Let's take a look at that mean trend line that I've had in here for a long time. We hit this trend line a little bit below, but my trend line could be off a hair, at 621, and we have not came back to test it again. So looking at the daily here, or actually let's go to the 4 hour here. So on the 4 hour here, it does, we still haven't made a higher high here. We still have a lower low and a lower high technically, but to me it looks like some potential bullish consolidation here with this potential I'm going to call it $7 range as an area we really need to get above. If you look at the 4 hour 20 EMA here, you can see that we have pretty much trended underneath this 20 EMA since we rolled over here. So if we could actually flip this 20 EMA and actually confirm some support on it, we broke out of here, came back to confirm it, we did not hold it and stayed under. So what I'm looking for here is a break of this 20 EMA and then a back test of this 685, depending on where this 20 EMA is. And if we can get a nice bounce, then we can confirm this downtrend can be over potentially short to mid-term with a target of $9 to start. And if we can get some kind of consolidation on there, then we know for sure we're good to go. So you could play this $9, but for me, I did put a buy order on this blue trend line here just to take a gamble. And so far, I am up a decent, nothing crazy because we're only talking from 622 to 680. So really, it's not a crazy amount of money, but I feel that this could be a very good support. If we did fall on double bottom here, we could look back for that 620, but at that point, I would get stopped out because I'm not looking for a double bottom here. I'm looking for, in the RSI, a double bottom has occurred, and we had bullish divergence straight across here and way higher on the left, way lower on the right. So I'm looking for that, as well as this weekly here. You can see that we are so overextended here that I feel this could be a great buying opportunity, seeing that in the past we've never came below that dotted line, which means the trend is very weak, but also means that the trend needs to get some kind of bounce soon, which you have a 21 EMA up at roughly 1075, 1090. And that could potentially be a place we long to. Then it could back test this. If it fails, obviously it's going to go lower. If it holds, it's very bullish and going to continue up. And then this thing could look like a massive bear trap, potentially, that we turn around, or left shoulder, a massive head, and then some type of right shoulder here. We don't know where it's going to go. All speculation, but I do have an overall target of 31.76, And to me, although it looks very bearish, this was an overall trend line that we have never gotten above. We broke above it, we came down, we back tested it, and we're ready to jet. This is something that you see in a stock that is just starting out, doesn't have a lot of fundamentals, but has fundamentals behind it, just no proof of anything. Now, once you start getting that proof, you can get this thing. This is back testing in a very strong trend line its whole life. So to me, we could come up, test something, blow off top, massive consolidation, and then start a new trend. So that's where I'm eyeballing it. That's why I'm buying here. I feel this is the bottom for this thing. Could be wrong, but let's see what happens. And overall, if you wanted to put in a massive long, we would literally just long it to this trend line and we would sell it up here on the weekly. That would be a nice thing that could happen over the next 4 or 5 months. So it's not too long, I would expect. And I think this next run could bring us up at least to 22.43. And if we really wanted to get bullish, we could tap this $31. So up to you if you want to look into that. Do some research for yourself. That's fine. So what's another one we're looking into? So I know I've talked about this thing. I got beat to shit on it. I lost a lot of money on this thing. I was pumping the hell out of it for myself. I was convincing myself this thing was going to the goddamn moon. Everybody in the comments said this thing's going to $7, $8, and I was like, no fucking way. This thing's in a beautiful consolidation here. We're not going to break this trend line. There's no way. This is the bottom. Well, we broke this fucking trend line, and now it looks like garbage. Does it look like garbage or not? It looks like garbage when you look at this trend, but in my opinion, this could be a level that could be a bottom, and I feel that this is a great buying opportunity way down here, as I thought it was a great buying opportunity here, so you may not want to listen to me. I was completely wrong here with my whole analysis, so, you can't always be right. Unfortunately, we had a beautiful blast off on the date that I was expecting. Actually, a little bit before. I was looking for January 28th. We ended up having a beautiful blast off at February 11th. And we just tapped this trend line and the weekly 20 EMA at the time. Blow off top. Huge rejection way below. So, does this look like garbage? It really pissed me off. I did manage to sell some for profits up here, but there's no way that I made any type of gains since here. I bought here at 8.10. I wrote it up here, sold it up at 25, and that was a great sell. And then I tried to rebuy it here at 18, and I got completely destroyed. And then I tried to buy more at 15. We had some consolidation, and I just got completely destroyed pretty much. Just buying and trying to sell these things and getting stopped out a bunch, and then fucking ended up getting a run here. Sold a little bit, didn't make back nearly enough that I lost here. And then it just dumped, and I got stopped out again on another rebuy down here at 15 something and 15.66. So that being said, this one I want to make some money back, but I'm not playing this to make money back, because you never want to trade trying to make money back because you lose so much more. So a small position in this, anywhere below this $10 range, in my opinion, is good, but you can also be really safe and wait for some confirmation above this daily 20 EMA here, which is at $10 even. If you can get a blast of that, a back test of that, and a run, you could be looking for a new turnaround. Otherwise, you can look at this and say, every time we tap this daily 20, we get massive rejections. And are we coming up on that? We are, so we could get a massive rejection. So until you see a blast above that, a back test of it, and then you can rock it. But they do have some great things coming out with this company in 2021. They have a lot of deals with some very good contracts. They are looking to put some of their models that they have right now of their trucks, and they are looking to put some demos on the road in 2021. This is something I learned from the Benzinga SPAC attack. If you ever listen to that, they do a interview on Thomas Healy, and he talks a lot about the things that he is doing and trying to do for the upcoming years. So honestly, even with all of this negative, crazy, shitty trend here that we have here, we could actually be looking for an A, a B, or what would it be, an A, B, C? I don't really know waves, but I wouldn't really call myself a wave analysis. I would love to learn, so I'm not going to get into that because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But when it comes to that, but that being said, maybe this is a place that you'd want to put a little buy in, because getting this thing at $8, I do strongly believe that at least by 2023, this will be testing this range in the 50s again. Mark my words on that. 2023's the latest. This company will be actually producing things to get revenue. Right now, they don't have revenue. So that's definitely taking a beating, along with a lot of these other SPACs and other stocks that are taking a massive beating. So let's see, where else could we get to? We could look at some RMO. This one, absolute tank, right? This one, I did put a long in here. I didn't make a video on it, but I posted it on my trading view that I was buying here. We had a huge volume spike here. I missed this. I almost put a call in down here in this trend line just to take a little sacrifice risk, but I did not. I would have made bank. Came up. We tried to touch this 200 EMA, got a huge rejection, came back down, consolidating on this long-term trend line that we have been touching for years here. We broke it once, we blasted off, came back down, couldn't catch support on it, came all the way to the bottom of this lower trend line that's downward sloping, and that's what we did. And we came back again, tapped this bottom trend line, got a huge bounce, came back down. A lot of people that sold here got out. They were sick of holding this thing because they've probably been holding it since up here. That was their escape. Sold off, back tested this trend line. I might not have this trend line drawn properly, but it might have broke back into it, got some resistance, broke back out, and now I think we are finally off and running. So keep an eye on RMO. We're looking for a break of 874, potentially a break, a back test and run, or a 4-hourly close above, confirmation on the next candle, and then an entry. And this one we could run up at least to $11, $10.50 to $11 if you wanted to make a short play. If you wanted to make a long play, this is a great consolidation pattern to the upside that we can play. And I can definitely see this thing moving a lot like this. So I bought here. I'm going to buy more with a confirmation here. I'm going to buy more with a confirmation of the next pattern. I don't care if it breaks up, consolidates, comes back down, back tests, comes up, runs higher. I don't know what it's going to do here, but for now, I'm going to play all of these consolidation breakouts. I'm going to buy each one and just keep averaging into my position upon each breakout. That's what I'm looking to do. I think this one will be a great long, very good battery company. Has a lot of good fundamentals behind it as far as companies, but doesn't have any revenue. Everybody's known that. And if they didn't know that, this is what the cause of it was. Speculation plays that I believe that are actually going to perform really well in the future. So for the future, this could be a very good long. I would average into this personally, not financial advice. I'm talking to myself when I make these videos. Remember, this is a good position to buy in my opinion, and we will pay out ultimately incredibly once we're up in this, above this 100 EMA here, and we will get above this $16, $17 within the next year and a half, maybe sooner. What's another one? Another one. I mean, I really do like biotech. I really think that we have a very good future with biotechs, and I think that we are just getting them in a very, very beginning stage, and there's going to be a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt, a lot of hype, and then uncertainty, and then run. That's exactly what happened. This chart here to me looks very, very bullish. I don't care what anybody says. We did get some negative price target from some analysts of $20. I don't feel we're going to $20. We don't know for sure. It definitely could, so we have to be cautious. This pattern here, this pattern here was right there. If we look at it like this, I drew my trend lines a little bit wrong. I think I had it something like this when we made videos on this in the past, talking about $34 to $36 being the bottom. Still was a good buy. I did buy at $36. I am down, but I rebought on this 200 EMA and also this Oh yeah, this weekly 200 EMA. I did buy more here, and I got filled right here at 33.15 or something like that. And I'm going to continue to buy this thing. Do I think it's going to blast right off to $70? No. I think that we're going to get this. Choppiness, back tests, and run. That's what I think we're going to get. Same thing here. Choppiness, back tests, runs. We had a lot of accumulation in here, and I don't feel that we are done accumulating. We had this beautiful accumulation of the bottom trend line, resistance, top trend line. Bottom trend line, resistance, top trend line, rejection, and then fake out and run. I bought a lot in this accumulation here, and I'm going to buy a lot in this accumulation here. This one, I believe, will do really, really well, at least by 2022, at the latest 2023. And I think this is a very beginning stage of something that will be worth over $200-$300 in the future. That is insane. This is a cure for blindness. How can it not? And the company is doing very, very well. So that's something to keep in mind here. This could take a little bit of time to get bullish here, but I don't think it's going to take that much time. Just needs a little bit longer for the moving averages to do their thing on the weekly time frame, which takes months and months. So it could not be ready yet, but it could be bouncing at least to come back up to this $38 range here. Gonna have to see. We got a lot of rejection on resistance. You can see here, rejection on resistance, rejection on resistance. Now blast off support. Now we're going to get rejection at resistance, come back down. Very possible that we chop around here. We don't know yet. So that might be a little too soon, but I'd keep an eye on this 38.50 level to confirm support again. And if we do so, this could be a major, major buy. All of our moving averages on the daily have crossed negative. The last thing we need is the weekly, which could push us down one last time. So be cautious of that. But I am fully loaded on this company, and I don't care if it does break this trend line and come lower. That's fine. I'm all done buying now. I got my buys here. I'll have more buy orders down here again if I can get them. For anyone that's not in them, just keep an eye on it. We really like this $32 level as low as, well, really this $32, $33 level. We could be rolling over a hair. We'll have to see how it plays out. This could be just a continuation downtrend. We don't know for sure. Could go lower. Be cautious. But long term, anything below $40 is a massive buy in my opinion. Ehone. This one I'm watching very, very clear, very, very cautiously. If we see this thing break $13 and confirm support, it needs to confirm support for a while. We don't want any fake outs here. We don't want to be buying the top. Keep an eye on this thing. It looks like it's a slow mover, but it likes to get rejected at this 12.5 area here and have massive downtrends. But if we can actually do some kind of confirmed support here, this thing could easily blast off up into some insane price action areas here. This is a bull flag accumulation, in my opinion. We could have a targeted move of 18.5. So just keep an eye on that above $13 if we can get something bullish here. Otherwise, we have to be cautious that we end up making some kind of head and shoulders pattern that could break to the downside here. If we get a breakout, that's what I'm looking for. The first initial move most likely would be the size of this, what looks like an ascending triangle. I've seen fixed break down from these, so be cautious. But the breakout here of 12.7, we could break out, we could run up to 16, we could come back to back test this, and we could fail and come all the way back down. So be cautious on that. But I am looking for something like this. What else? I know somebody wanted me to do take a look at APXT. I know I had APXT somewhere. If you guys have any other things you want me to look at, definitely let me know. I will happily go over APXT. We got to watch for this moving average. It's not done going down, but it can definitely have a couple pumps in between, maybe to this $12 range here, and then another dump. This moving average is going to take months to play out. We could get a pop to this moving averages up in this 13.50 area. very soon. If we look at the daily here, we are below this flag here, this bear flag. We had a break of this resistance, blasted up, got caught on support. Caught on resistance on these moving averages, came back down. You have a 50 EMA crossing the 100 very soon, which could cause a pump or could cause a more further dump. So until we get some support above this $11, I don't care if you blast through it, you tap this $11.50, wait for that confirmation retest of $11. If it holds support and stays there, we could get a break, or you could wait for some confirmed support above $11.50. Depending on how you want to play it, that's up to you. But as of right now, we have bullish divergence, kind of bullish divergence forming, but we might have already played that out. And even still, it's hard to call that a good reason to bounce because we had bullish divergence here and we blasted from here. That was it. Rejection, higher low, lower low. Still in a downtrend, but maybe look for some support above this 11 or 11.50. See what we can do. We did have this crazy choppiness, this rising channel here. Every time he came up, tapped, then we made a lower high, came back down, tested this, another lower high, caught resistance here, broke down from here. The breakdown of this potential was 1093, or the potential of this rising channel breakdown was probably where we are now. I wouldn't doubt it. Let's take a look. Breakdown of this targeted move 1062. We hit a little bit lower, but technically that target is played out, which means we should be able to turn around here, in my opinion. I think we're finally at a bottom here, but we do have some negative things coming in, so we have to be cautious. If it breaks 1020, that's another lower low. Be cautious after that. But I am watching this thing. Another thing you could do is we could say that this is your downtrending resistance here, and if we can break above this 1140 or 1150, because we know that's resistance, and maybe even if we have to back test it and run, look for a break of that with a targeted move potentially as high as 1360, which would be that weekly 20 EMA. So I'm kind of looking for that right there. I like the 1150. I think that's the safest play, not $11, because it could break 11, go to 1150, come back down and not test 11 as support and run further down back to the 1020 area. BNGO, let's see. We didn't quite hit my targeted move here of 386. I was also looking for 483. We hit 514. I almost bought some there, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. I still think we might touch that 483, but if this is a turnaround, then we could be looking to go higher. But I honestly think we're still going to hit this, either this 511 again or this 483. I'm still looking for 483. That was a level here that when we broke it, we blasted. So we're looking for that to resolve. But you can keep an eye on it. I just don't trust it yet. In the 4 hour, it still looks like it's flagging out a little bit, which is a good thing. But we have a lot of moving averages that can still push us below. So we really have to get above this like $7 level potentially. But we could come back up and back test. We could come back up and back test this trend line here, and this trend line sits up at 841. If we are going to get bullish here, flag out, continue to flag out here, we could run up to this $9 range potentially. But remember, there's a lot of resistance above that needs to get above. So it's a little bit scary, but we'll have to see. If we run this trend line down here, we can see that we did have a wick that touched it, got rejected. This is your main downtrending resistance here that we have to get above. That would be somewhere, depending on when we hit it, around this 660 area here. You could look for some confirmed support if you were in this, or if you're looking to play it, you could look for some confirmed support right above this 643. You could get a break of this. You could tap there, rejection. You could break it, run, come back down, back test, and then you're good to go. That's what I would be looking for, some confirmed support of some sort. Keep an eye on the charts. You should see some type of back test. Even if it's one red candle that wicks down, that's considered a back test still. What else? I don't really know what else to look at. I forget what else I had in mind. Oh, CCIV. We made a video on this already. This one looks like it's breaking out, but we do have some moving averages crossing that could end up being a fake out here, or we could just run this. We could just trend on top of this trend line here, but as long as we hold this trend line, I don't care if we go lower here and just continue on this trend line, that could give an ultimate blast off here. That does look pretty good from a long-term standpoint of this longer resistance right here anyway. And if we drew this trend line all the way up, I'm pretty sure that it would actually make sense. And it would probably touch some of these wicks here. I can just eyeball it now. Looks like it would touch this resistance. When we broke that resistance, we had a mean blast off. Then we got rejected somewhere up here. That's going to be an area of confluence later. Eventually we'll get there. Don't know when, but it will get there. Just going to take a while, and that would be something up there. We can keep this and we can just run it all the way across so we remember later. This targeted move is 31 or 30, yeah, 30, I think $31 or $32 if we get the break of this, but just keep an eye on it. It could go up. It could get a big pump to $23. That's the 21-week EMA. Could hit that 21 and then have a huge sell-off, dump, follow this mean, hit this lower trend line, and then run. Just kind of like what RMO did. It had a huge break, and then it got a massive rejection, and then it dumped. So keep an eye on that. Eraser, let me get rid of these scribbles. I haven't looked at CLVR in a while. I got stopped out of that when I tried to make a few plays that went a lot lower than I expected. We are testing long-term support here. Anything bought at this $10 range at this point, $10.28, $10.30, to me is a good buy. If we can confirm support on this $10.50 level again, that would be insanely bullish to me, but we haven't been able to do that. Unfortunately, we talked about this $10.50 level being the massive support level. We came up, we back tested it, we came up. We broke it, we back tested it, we broke it, we blasted through it, came back tested, we broke it, we came up. Are we going to blast up, back test, break it, or are we going to legitimately do something this time? Hard to say. This kind of looks like a left shoulder ahead, a right shoulder, or it could be a very, very ugly W. We do have bullish divergence here, so that's very possible that we could get a run here. We have to back test it, though. So expect some type of back test, even if this turns into a double top here. Back test, run, that could be bullish. Till then, it's not looking that good, but I would just put, like, if you're in this, that's what I would do. I would put your trend line, kind of like what I have. You can use one of these boxes here. Run your box at around 1044. Right from this wick. You should see this big wick that comes down. Run your trend line straight across from there, and just keep an eye on this. If you see this thing breaking it, obviously that's a good sign short term, but it has to roll over, back test it, and then you can definitely put a large buy order on that. But until it can hold this support again, it's not going to do very well, which obviously it's above it now, and that trend line goes all the way back here. That's like where I longed it from. Well, I longed it from this trend line down below, 960. I took a risk with the expectations it could come lower, but I took a risk here. And then, I managed to sell this up here at 936. So 1936, I managed to sell it. Almost the exact top. Just because we touched it like 3 times, I knew it was there. We hit this 1936, we hit this 1936, we hit this 1936. So that's how I knew that. That's the only reason I was able to sell the exact top on that. I didn't really know it was going to be the top, though. I just saw that we were testing it a lot. I thought we would go higher. But I think I saw some like triple top on the RSI or something. No, it was on the daily. Oh, maybe it was the 4 hour. Oh, yeah. We had this tap, this tap, this tap. So I sold it on this tap, way overextended. And then we turned into a head and shoulders pattern. But I honestly did not expect it would come way down here, so I was pretty bad with that. I really thought that 1140 was going to hold. But unfortunately, we stayed below this 20 EMA for a very long time here on the 4 hour. Once we broke this 20 EMA, we could never really get above it. We tried to get above it. I was getting bullish, back tested it. We dipped lower. I made a video saying this thing's ready to run. Look what happened. We back tested it and we broke down. That's what happened. And then we got rejection on this 50 EMA too. So now we're kind of getting to that point again where this 50 EMA is coming down to squeeze with this 20 EMA. So expect that we could come up here and test this 1134, which is going to be that 50 EMA again. So we really need to get above 12, back test the, that 1134. I mean, that's where it is right now. I don't know where it'll be when we get up there. And then after that, we're going to have to watch for this 1285. This is going to be the 200 EMA, roughly 1280 or so. So you're going to have to watch for that. You could draw a trend line up here if you want. I have a trend line at 1214. You could do your trend line at 1240 if you'd like. Do another trend line here. Then all right, we're here. If we break it, back test it, then we're going to here. We have trend line support at 1140, 1240 we can call it, and 1040. So in the 40s, this thing likes the 40s. We do have a MACD cross coming on the 4 hour here, so this could push us up here. We just have to get above these EMAs. So look for 1140 next, 1240 after that, 13 or 1280 after that, I think, maybe. Or no, 1240 and then 1380. We got to hold above 1380. Could be an inverse head and shoulders as well. This is a left shoulder. This is a head, and this looks like a right shoulder. That could, if we broke this neckline here, watch your RSI as well. Look at this RSI down here. Maybe draw a trend line here if you're in this play. Trend line right across here. And if you see it break this trend line here, even if it breaks it and back tests it, you're heading up high. So that's something to keep in mind. The RSI is going to be huge for you. You can't really see an inverse head and shoulders that clearly here, but on the RSI, it's definitely showing that this is a inverse head and shoulders. It probably looks like this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and this is the right shoulder with like some kind of neckline here. But in reality, the neckline's probably up here at 1380 on the RSI. So I mean, we'll have to see how that looks. All right, I think that's about it. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much. Smash the like button if you guys listened all the way to the end. That would be impressive. LOGC, that was the last one. That's right. We got wrecked on this one too. Looked like a massive bull flag. Breakout. Targeted move like $20 or something with some resistance here at $11.52 and $14. Had a huge breakout of the long-term accumulation. Tried to catch support here, stayed there for a very long time, broke down, back-tested resistance, old resistance as new support. Now we're ready to run. Personally, I believe so. Even if we come down one more time and touch it, that's around 511. I'd look for that 511. That'd be a great long, absolutely incredible opportunity there. I don't care if we take a little bit of time. This is accumulation. This will be accumulation, so it could take longer. But this time we should get it. This should be 100% time to get it. So I want those big prices. And I think that this thing's going to give us those big prices within less than a year. But we'll have to see how it goes. But, yeah, I mean, I was hyped on this thing at $9. Now look where it is. Jesus Christ, now I'm even more hyped on it. But this one actually looks legit because of this back test here. That's what a lot of things are doing here, guys. Back testing old long-term resistance. And this is biotech, so. And this trend line isn't in the proper spot either, because this would actually have to be down here, so that means that we could go lower on this thing still. So keep that in mind. We didn't quite back test it yet. So I'm kind of looking for this $5 range here. Personally, I'm not saying load the boat here unless you don't mind a 80-cent drop. We could touch this $4.92 or this $5.11. I'm looking for $5.11. I'm not entered yet. I'll probably start buying somewhere between $5.36 and $5.11. That's where I'm looking for. And I will have a buy order down here at $4.98 or maybe probably $4.92 or something. I'm probably going to put a big buy order down there. Looking at the RSI on the 4 hour here, we're in an insane falling wedge. This thing could come as low as here, which could bring us to that 490 area potentially, but we'll have to see how it goes. We're still in this falling with this upper resistance here. If we break this upper resistance, we're off and running. Kind of looks like it could roll here and break out. But the only reason I'm calling for lowers is just because of this W lower, W lower, W lower. Very big M though, so we do have to be cautious. If it breaks below this trend line here, you know, if it starts getting below $4 though, I wouldn't really chase it. I'd probably already be gone. And I'll just let it drop wherever it wants to go. I can't predict where it's going to end. I can just predict where I believe that we could get support. But in the past, we've came all the way down to $3. So if we break this lower, in my opinion, if we break this lower support of 480, 475, start getting resistance below, then we could definitely come a lot lower, which would be terrible. And what we could do and what that could look like is something like this. And we could follow this trend line all the way down before we eventually break out. So buying here is dangerous. It's my expectations we're going to bounce and go. If we don't, then we could trend lower. So be very cautious with that still. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. Peace.